Hey guys, and welcome to this video tutorial using Adobe Photoshop CS4. We're going to go over the cartoon eyes tutorial and go through this step by step. First thing we're going to do is create a new document by going to the File menu and selecting New. Again, this is the cartoon eyes tutorial, so we're just going to type cartoon eyes for the name. For the preset, we will just go ahead and use default Photoshop size and hit OK. Okay. First thing we need to do is create a new layer. So I'm going to go up to the layer menu, new, select layer, and I'm going to name this layer eyeball. Okay, there's also a different method. You can go down here in your layers palette and create a new layer down here. Okay, but for now we'll just use this way. Before we get going, I'm going to go back to my background layer and I am going to fill it with this blue color that's selected here. Okay, so I filled my background layer. Now let's go back to our eyeball layer and draw the outline of an eyeball using our elliptical marquee tool, which is right here. Okay, I'm going to hold down the shift key and just draw out a nice big circle here. Okay, use the arrow keys to center it up where I want. And off we'll go here. Okay, so I'm going to fill this with a white color so we can see it better. Change my foreground color to white here. Get the paint bucket tool, which is over here in our toolbox about halfway down. Paint bucket tool, and fill this in. Okay, and then I will deselect it since we're done with this layer. Okay, now what it wants us to do is change the blending options a little bit. So I am going to double click next to the eyeball layer, and our layer style dialog box pops up. I'm going to move this over a little bit so I can see my eyeball. For the blending mode, we're going to, well, first let's take a look at the tutorial. It wants us to add an outer glow and an inner glow, so let's take a look at the outer glow first here. Okay, outer glow. I'm going to go ahead and select that. I know it wants me to change the blend mode to multiply. The color here to black. I will select the black color. Hit OK. The opacity on this, I believe, was 38%. I'll just type that in. Hit enter. OK. I'm not done yet. Let me go back to that. OK. Again, I want to go to my outer glow. Let's take a look at some of the other options it wants us to work with here. Okay, the size, 5 pixels, range 50%. Let's make sure all that's 5 pixels, 50%. That's good. So let's go ahead to our inner glow now. Let's go ahead and select the inner glow again. Blend mode to multiply. Color, we want to choose black again. I'll click OK. What other options does it have for us here? It's got 20% opacity, the size of 21. Okay. So let's get this down to about 20. Size of 21. Okay, it's pretty sensitive here. And I believe the range and the jitter are okay. Alright, so we're all set. I'll hit OK. As you can see, it's got a slight glow around the inside of the eyeball itself. We're going to create a new layer now. Layer, new layer. We will name this the eye for the eye itself. Okay, so we're on the eye layer here. Again, let's grab the elliptical marquee tool. Hold down shift, draw out another circle. Okay, you don't have to worry about this being perfectly inside the other one, because again, you can use the arrow keys to align this up right where you want it. Okay, so take your time here, make sure that it looks pretty good. I guess that looks pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to choose a different color to fill this in with. Let's go with a red. Hit OK. Go to my paint bucket tool. Fill this in. And now we have the eye itself. So let me deselect this. Now we're going to go ahead and create the pupil. Layer, new layer. Notice each time we're creating a new layer. I'm going to name this one pupil. OK. We've got the pupil layer here. Again, elliptical marquee tool. Hold down Shift. Draw it out. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect right here. Now I will use the arrow keys to align this. Okay, that looks good enough for now. Pupil, of course, we're going to use black to fill in the color for the pupil. Paint bucket tool. Fill that. Now we've got our pupil. Okay, so again, we'll deselect it. The last thing we're going to put in is a reflection, kind of like a reflection of light coming off the pupil there. So we'll need a new layer for that. Layer, new layer. We'll name this reflection, R-E-F-L-E-C-T, reflection. Okay. This one I'm going to do a little different. I'm still going to choose the elliptical marquee tool. Instead of holding Shift, I am just going to drag and elongate this a little bit. Right there is fine. I am going to select white for the reflection. Click OK. Fill this with, again, with the paint bucket tool, same steps we've been using. Fill it in there. Okay, as you can see, it's white. I'm going to now hit Control T to transform or rotate this. Let me transform it first. Okay, that's about how I want. I'll hit Enter. And then I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform, Rotate. And now if I go to the edge, I can rotate this reflection to be how I'd like there. Then the last thing I'm going to do is select the Move tool and simply move this up here. One last thing, select Deselect, and there we go. You've got your own cartoon eye. Hope this helps you guys out. We'll catch you on the next tutorial.